How you guys doing? Hope you guys had a good weekend. We're jumping into some Battle Spirits. It's gonna be super exciting. The game hasn't really had a ton of like structured play since the release of the set, and we gotta change that. We need metadata so we know what we're going into for the launch events. So that's what we're throwing it together here. At minimum, 3 matches. We could, sneak in a couple of games here and there depending on what we see from other people, but generally speaking, should be good. And of course, if you guys are interested in playing Battle Spirits, the circuit goes on up until the last week before the launch event, where we'll be going out and playing every Monday. You don't have to be playing in the first one to play in the others. The circuit is an independent one every week, and you tally up all the points from all the tournaments. And if you're within the top 8 throughout the entirety of the circuit, where we'll have a leaderboard with all the points accumulated so everyone can talk shit to each other and do what they do with leaderboards, then you get to play for a free box. So it'll be a top 8 elimination style tournament for the box, which should be very exciting. I'll try to do it like the day after or the day after that, so like we can do it right before the launch tournament, but we'll see. You guys can get some practice in as well. So naturally, I am in North America, so the circuit will be North American friendly, but I will try my best to at least get you guys in there. Let's try and zoom in on this a little bit. All right, so Purple Smoke Valley. So we do got purple here. So Purple Smoke Valley, draw a card, one of your effects destroys one of your opponent's spirits via reducing its course to 0. So obviously Core Drain, anything of that. Cursed Dragon will be able to draw cards as well. Something to note, guys, is that if an effect kills multiple things and it'll cause a card like this, let's say you like kill 5 or 6 things, it will only trigger once because it counts the whole event, not every individual creature that died. So that's just something to keep whose match is this? We are currently watching Anthony Blaze versus Otter Gundam. So Otter Gundam is the one who popularized White Splash Control. He's been grinding an incredible amount with JD over in the Discord server. So it'll be very interesting to see how they go out here. So purple has by far the strongest nexuses. It's like not even close. So we've got Netherworld Depths here. Draw a card when your opponent's spirits is exhausted, whether they attack, whether they block, whether they use an ability that exhausts them. It's incredibly powerful ability. So one of the big reasons that red is an incredible color is specifically because it deals with nexuses the best. So it can board control while simultaneously dealing with cards like these, which are absolutely nuts. If you guys want the Discord that this is... Whoa, okay, right. I forgot. I got to be careful with that. If you guys want the Discord, I'll go ahead and get the... I'll do a bot command for it soon. I think my bot's actually broken at the moment. But if you guys want to join the server, you guys can join right here. So setting up, I mean, both decks can put themselves in like a very like dangerous position here, right? Because they're positioning themselves to draw a lot of cards. So if they're both the control decks, which like we can go ahead and check afterwards, but I mean, if it's Otter, there's a good chance he's going to be showing off his purple control deck here. And then it's like, so then you ask yourself, what's the mirror breaker, right? If we're both playing control, which maybe we're trying to end on like an elk top end, what does our end game look like? But we do see here that Blaze will be jumping in with applying pressure, or at least getting board presence first with the Dark Knight Algalave. You get to draw a card when he destroys it, and then when spirit attacks, getting cursed. So this is incredibly good because if it gets destroyed by Otter here, he's going to be able to draw a card, which means he'll never lost advantage. And in the control versus control game, it's all about card advantage. So, all right, and does look like we're going to be getting in here. This will probably just be a take. All right, so we did get the take here, and now we're setting up all the nexuses. So for those of you guys who are new to Battle Spirits, you can utilize cores that are in your main stage as much as your reserve during your main phase. You can coordinate them however you want, so you can use the ones on your cards to be able to pay for costs. You can swap them around. You can set up your board a certain way, and then like Curse Dragon, and then that. Beldegor, incredibly powerful card. So this card is splashable in almost any deck. It is so incredibly good. For the simple cost of 3. So like, yeah, you don't get the reduction, but who cares? You get to destroy something that costs 4 or fewer and destroy it, which is like hits so much of the format. And then if you happen to be able to run 4 or 5 costs in your deck during the attack phase, if they die, you can pay cost to play this from your trash, which means you can consistently 2-for-1 your opponents depending on the position they're in. So I think mirrors come down to value, and Ice Shield's not gonna lie, and especially in purple mirror, where we'll just control the board best and dodge Beldegor. Yeah, 100%. All right, and here we see Mordred. I haven't decided if I like Mordred yet or not. I think he's fine. When someone select one of your opponent's exhausted spirits, remove 2 cores from them, which means they can't just get rid of something, and then you can attack into spirit. Or no, when it attacks, you remove a core. So like it consistently removes cores. It's like a mini what's his name? Let me find him. He's like a mini Pendacles, which is like not terrible. Bro, this Nexus setup is busted. I think I like this card. I don't know how many we run though, right? It just cycles itself. It's a body, which means you're not gonna lose card advantage on it. So, bro, what is this? 4 Smoke Valleys. Draw a card when 1 year effects destroys 1 year opponent's. So effectively, every single time Otter's gonna use. So he's only got 4 cards in hand, but the next time he uses removal, he's gonna draw 4. Otter control, more like Otter deck out. I mean, yeah, that's a problem, right? This deck has so much, like this game has so much card draw that you are very much in a position where you can actually just deck out. Like when I play yellow, I only had like 1 Cathedral on board, and I actually almost completely decked out. So, all right, so we do see the swing in here with the Mordred. I believe it is on level 2. So we will see the neg here. We will see the draw from the Smoke Valley. Will we see a response here, or will we just see the take? Blaze really is the underdog. Yeah, I mean, Otter is like huge dedication to Otter and the rest of the testing boys out in the Discord server. They have dedicated time into grinding out these games. So yeah, so here we see core drains, and those are going to be adding cards. So just BT dubs. We just saw Otter go from 4 cards in hand to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What is this? What the hell? What is going on here? I think that was a concession, maybe. So quick scoop, going to game 2. That's so weird. The fact that you get your opening hand and then you decide if you want to go first or not. That's so jank. That's so OP. But either way, so you draw 2, then decide who starts, then mulligan. Yeah, that's so weird. Ooh, yikes. Well, here's the thing. Turn 1 Beldegor is kind of yikes, but it's a tempo, right? It's a tempo play. You get to apply pressure. Later in the game, if you got 4 drops that are aggressing in, you can get them back later. So while it's like a lost card right now, because you can get them back via Immortal, it's almost like it's not a lost card, but I hear it's pretty huge. If we're trying to tempo out, getting the early Netherworld is a pretty big deal. And then obviously the Purple Smoke Valley, so that Otter can put himself in a position to be able to draw cards afterwards. You can't, thankfully, you really can't be mana stuck in this game, unless like your opening 2 hands are incredibly bad. But I think dinos are going to be strong. Like they're playable is the way I put it. I think they're going to be decent. I think they can apply pressure. But unfortunately, the strategy can fold if your opponent is like smart with what they remove, right? And against purple, your strategy is kind of unplayable because like Dino Rex loses to like a core drain. So it's tough. Because purple's the best color, it makes dinos not as good, but dinos can still play the game because they have some of the best red tech cards, you know, Burning Rampage and stuff like that. So okay, so we do see Cavalier here. We've got the setup of the Beldegor and the Earth Spider Demon here for Blaze's side. Obviously, the card advantage game here being on Otter's end, just because he's able to start plussing or at least going 1 for 1 without losing cards, which is pretty good. He can also start aggressing and punish his opponent for blocking by drawing an additional card for it. So, because Cavalier already replaced himself via the play, so if he swings with it and gets a block and they trade whatever, he's going to be able to draw an additional card. So, but Otter likes to play it slow. He doesn't like to apply pressure early, and then basically put himself in a position to be able to flex out his opponent afterwards. So, I don't know if purple's the best color, but purple's an incredible color. I think red is quote unquote the best because it just kind of dumps on purple, but the things that I would do for once we get proxy play. Actually, I think we can zoom in a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. We don't need the numbers on this side. I think we'll be fine just like this. Get a little bit closer gameplay. Red doesn't really dump against Otter control, but it does trash aggro. By red, I mean Nova. Yeah, I mean, when we're talking red, we are mostly talking Nova for what it's worth. Nova, and when we're talking red, you really are talking like Arc, Nova, and like Nexus removal is kind of the biggest thing. What if you flip it horizontally? We could, but I didn't know if you guys prefer this angle because it looks a little bit more adversarial than us looking like us versus the other player. I just thought this looked a little more unbiased, but the thing is that realistically, we're going to be doing the TTS circuit and then the launch events are going to happen. And then I'm probably just going to switch to webcam events from there. Even if the game hasn't fully released, there should be enough cards circulating that we can at least kind of get a webcam tournament there. And what I'll probably do is allow proxies in that tournament. And then once the official release of the game comes out, then I'll probably enforce that you need to use real cards. But okay, so we're still decently equal on hand advantage, but at any point once pressure starts being applied from Blaze's end, we are going to see Otter start to draw cards. So okay, so we see the core removal here with the when summon on Mamira, which means we will say bye to Cavalier. Or does he have one on him? Oh, he might have one on him still. Okay. Which does bump him down to a 3K. Does that make it an advantageous trade? It can, depending on where he puts the levels. If you spill your cores, maybe I could see that. That's why I don't want to use cores. That's why I'm going to use core cards. Just because like there's less of a chance of like, oh, table bump, and now the whole game is ruined, you know? All right, so we did see the block here. Obviously, Otter's going to be able to draw some cards. Deadly Balance, baby. This is incredible alt art, by the way. Like, I will say some of the alt arts are absolute bangers, and this is definitely one of them. So, Deadly Balance, one of the more powerful cards in a purple. Your opponent selects one of their spirits and select one of your spirits, destroy both spirits. If you do not have a spirit, you can still use this card, which is what makes it incredibly good in control. And then, obviously, it procs off your when destroyed abilities as well. So we do see the demon go down, but of course, we can immortal back the Beldegor and continue tempo if we really wanted to. Okay, so Curse Dragon, probably the best boss monster in purple right now. There were a lot of debates as to whether it was Maduke, and Maduke has been finding more slots in the sideboard, whereas Curse Dragon has just been absolutely amazing. When summon, remove one from anything that dies through that, you get to ramp by one, which is incredible. And then when it's a spirit attacks, you then get to remove everything but one. So it just puts an insane amount of work. This card's incredible. If you guys want to see every card, currently, if you guys go on Bandai TCG Plus, their card search function there has every single card in set 1. If you join the Discord server as well, the community Discord server, Battle Spirits Tensei, they have a card catalog, which you can go check that out as well. If you just want to use the TTS mod, you can use Sound Ninja's table or deck builder, and you have every card available there as well. Or just the regular one. This mod also has every card. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, cores are flexible. You can use cores, you can use cards, you can use chicken nuggets. There's lots of options you can utilize. Yeah, on God, there will be a tournament where I play with chicken nuggets. I promise that. And my soul core is going to be a spicy nug, and it's going to be amazing. Those are going to be some crusty nugs at the end. Bro, it's easy. Like, in between rounds, you just eat the ones you played with and then take out the fresh ones from a box. Or you got the Uber guy coming in on rotation every round for the recaps. You know how you re-sleeve your deck? Well, instead of re-sleeving your deck, well, you probably should re-sleeve your deck because of like the grease, but you're also refreshing your nugs. Curse Dragon is super gross. It is an incredibly solid card. It read powerful, and I thought it would be too slow, but it turns out that's just not the case. The card's actually just nuts. All right, so we got a Mordred here on the other side as well. So Otter's doing it's just having this set up, right? Like, being the purple player that has this versus the opponent not having that is just super, super tough. Like, you're fighting such an uphill battle at that point. Hey, boys, you're looking at the most expensive card in the set, Absolute Ice Shield as an alt art. Honestly, I wouldn't hate the idea of actually just taking damage, like, from 2-3 attacks. Just to be able to ramp, because ramp is probably going to be the way you come back from this with, like, a couple of, like, big plays. Just to account for the fact that your opponent's outdrawing you. All right, we got the math. You know how in every card game, you got the player who, like, taps on his desk to calculate things? We don't even have to. We have an hibiscus right on the board. We just literally throw the cores around, right? Your opponent starts to do like core math, like ends up drawing like a Kirby using his cores. All right, so we see the Curse Knight, baby. Camelot Knight has Curse when it has a Soul Core on levels 1 and 2, which is super dope. Great card, great early game card. Usable in like every single deck because it's just like it can trade up against anything, which is huge. And then we see the Mordred here, which will be able to remove cores from the Curse Dragon. So we got swings here. I do think you just need to apply pressure. I think if you try to go for the late game here, unfortunately, you're just going to get out advantage. So just hope he doesn't have answers in his deck, and like just hope he doesn't draw into answers, which is incredibly unlikely. And just try to press. The problem with an early Nomen Guard though is like he's powerful, but he can't die. like nothing's gonna kill him unless you're playing against like Curse. So he's going to be an amazing blocker for you, but and hopefully you have suppressions to be able to live. But not there's the removal. We do have removal. So we got the core theft, so that's going to draw us a card, so it replaces itself. What's the score at the moment? I believe it's 1-0 Otter. But Otter also dumped his hand out, and I don't know if that was him conceding because he thought his hand was bad. But we'll see. Basically, if this game continues after this game, which I presume Otter is gonna win because he's just like in a really advantageous position, then then that means Blaze won game 1. So, but I'm not sure yet. All right, here's another Cavalier. We're gonna be able to get a draw card. We do have a burst here, so we may be threatening an on summon. Could also just be another Ice Shield. But yeah, I think at this point we're at a point where this is just like purple, like just purple good stuff. I don't know if this is actually Otter control that he's playing out here, which is fine. Yep, so we got the Cursed Dragon Swing, which then removes down to 1 core. Otter control would be a white deck that utilizes cards from its white splash. So it uses 20 base, like 20 odd white cards, and then surrounds that with red, purple, and yellow cards to support it. Yeah, I'm testing white red right now. I don't know if I love it, but I do like that I have access to Nexus removal, which is like a decently big deal. But control might not even care about some of the Nexuses your opponents run. So it's like, it's a tough call. I don't know. I could definitely see white purple just being the better of them all, though. Thunder Leon is a good board wipe. It is just a sideboard card, though, unfortunately. It's a kind of some strategies, like Star Dragons, Leon does nothing against, right? Because like everything's like a 3K or above. So it just depends on what specifically you're bringing it in. But against 2-drop aggro, it's a good card. Nexus control and draw from red is the only way we're seeing white played right now. Yeah, 100%. All right, so currently board states, we have 4 life here for Blaze versus the 4 life on Otter side. We do see 3 cards in hands versus what looks to be like 9. So Otter definitely an advantage, and that's all because of this, right? Like just having this has completely decided the fate of this game at the moment. And now that like Otter can like poke, remove, just kind of do this thing. Phew! All right, so we do have the Curse Dragon, so it's going to get rid of 1. Of course, Otter having his board set up in a way that that he doesn't get super punished from it. But now there is a world in which you could like just swing with the Mordred here, and then they'll get rid of this. Or you could swing with the Curse Dragon. Can we get to level 2? We might be. Yes, we're getting it to level 2. So maybe? We don't have enough cores to be able to do the swing and kill. Yeah, so we're getting Mordred over here to level 2, which means we'll probably swing in with it to then, I don't know, kill the Dark Lancer. It's kind of like your only target right now. You should probably leave a core on Curse Dragon just so it doesn't auto die to like your opponent's Mordred, but your opponent can just Curse Dragon, Mordred swing, and then get there, so... Aren't the collabs to show per color like which rumor? Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance it could do that. I'm not, we don't know, I don't know the specifics of the collab, to be honest. So I guess we were looking for our own Beldegor, yeah, to see if we had one in there. Yeah, I don't know about what's currently in Battle Spirits, but I actually thoroughly enjoyed Mercury Witch. So I do hope that they make an appearance in the collabs. I want that. I want Freedom Gundam. Like, I don't know what Battle Spirits has, so I don't know what they're going to transfer over here. But if you're talking about like my favorites, something from Gundam Wing. I want Freedom Gundam and Mercury Witch. I want something from there. If we get Epion, but of course I don't know how much wing they would utilize, but like Epion I think is a super cool Gundam. All right, so we do see the Curse Dragon go down, but 2 cards in hand. Like this card hand advantage is just unfortunately like way too unbearable at the moment. All right, drawing a billion cards because that's just how we do. Oh no, he's got the combo. This combo's so jank. I love it. It's not actually jank. It's super good, but it's just funny. So basically, you got Basculus, which removes everything but 1 core. So you can combo to like dump this guy, then dump this guy, which guarantees that you're going to ramp with your Curse Dragon and board wipe your opponent, which I think is hilarious. Yeah, and I think we've got the concession here. So I don't know if they're going into a game 3 situation right now or if that's going to be it. Okay, yeah, so it did look like Otter actually did concede in game 1. He saw his hand, told him like, I just can't win. Like, I'm just going to be drawing dead for like turns after turn. So, wow. Okay. So we are going into game 3 here. So we've got about 13 minutes in regular time to play out this game 3. So let's see what goes on. So 1-1 on both sides. Okay. So kicking it off with the Cavalier, getting a draw. We do have the Purple Smoke Valley here from, Blaze, or yeah. Which puts him in a much better position than he was last game. Of course, the Nexus advantage here is absolutely huge. So the ones who can stabilize that first. It's 5-3. Yeah, okay, I thought so as well. Yeah. So very good start here from Blaze. Otter doing some digging. Hopefully he can find something, of course. So we got some early tempo here with the Camelot Knight, so you can force the trade here if you'd like. But Otter will be tempted to just take this. No matter what, he will have enough to be able to go into a Netherworld's next turn, which could be the plays kind of lining up. So we'll be able to actually get two clean damage here. If he, yeah, so opposite swing will remove the core here. The Cavalier will die. You'll get to draw a card here. So super clean lines here from Cavalier to take advantage of the early tempo. There could be crackback potential here, but generally, I mean, this is like pretty solid. So we could see the swing from the Camelot Knight here. Take advantage of the fact your opponent has nothing. He's gonna have to set up a couple of things next turn. Nope, looks like we just are going to pass here. Okay, so we get Mordred out on board here. When summoned, choose one of your Toxic Spirit, remove 2 cores. So we will see the Earth Spider die. And then he can actually get the swing and get the Camelot Knight to die. And that's kind of why I would have swung with the Camelot Knight, because like there are a lot of potentials of just getting like 2 for 1 here like this. Shiny Monk, thanks for the follow, much appreciated. And everyone, thank you guys so much for the follows. I'm glad we're gonna be able to push this. The viewership and the participation in this circuit series has actually blown my expectations for what the first week was gonna be like. So super excited to have you guys here and super excited to finally be able to kind of push some content for the game out for y'all. Can't kill it. Oh, does he is oh right, level 3 is on 3 cores. Okay, so it's not a straight 2 for 1, which isn't terrible. I thought level 2 was on 2 cores. That's a big Camelot Knight, boy. God damn. What? If you can, I do think you kill the Mordred here using removal. I think like Otter's just kind of behind on reductions. If you're forcing him to pay full cost for everything, the tempo definitely is just on your side on that front. If you can use like a core theft or core drain or whatever, and then be able to get your card draw on that as well, so you're not negging a card off of it. But no, it looks like we're just swinging with like the biggest Camelot Knight in the existence of ever. We get the block, we get the trade. They both go. It's a 2k. Oh right, it's still a level 1, so it's a 3k. Okay, there you go. That's not bad. That's a good usage of your Bloody Rain. I don't hate that. If I'm trying to win Vegas, what color should I be playing? White splash, purple, or red, I think are your 3. I think you can top with yellow, but I don't think it'll win the whole tournament. Okay, so we do have opposing Smoke Valleys now, so the card advantage will kind of balance out. We do have a Maduke here. And it does have Blood Curse. It is on level 3, so... Maduke here, pretty good in the mirror just because, well, actually, I don't know if Maduke's great in the mirror because you could just remove cores from it, right? Depending on what you play, and then it'd be in like not great of a position. Yeah. So I think in the purple mirror, Maduke is kind of like funky. Bacillus here is an incredible answer to Maduke. So, but yeah, I don't love how it's like they warp. It's weird because you want to ramp up the complexity of the game, but so that the player adjusts, but at the same time, it's like they make these total noobs seem like they're the next god gamer when really they're playing the most basic strategy. So it's weird. But yeah, here the ability to remove Maduke is huge. A super big counter here definitely puts Blaze up in terms of advantage for at least board state wise. But Netherworld is incredible here. Netherworld will put a ton of work. Will kind of slow down the pressure that's being able to be applied here. All right, 1 more minute until we go into overtime. So we got 2 life to 5 life here, but Otter can mount a comeback now. He is drawing more cards than his opponent, so he is in a position to be able to kind of win through this. So we'll see. All right, so we do see a flip in board state here, but one player's got 2 life versus the other having 5. So the Beldegor, Cavalier, the Mamira, choop. Camelot Knight here, so we got dual Camelot Knights. The problem with Camelot Knight is obviously it doesn't double up, right? So you're only gonna have one of them that has curse, the other's kind of like a very mediocre attack, especially in a position where your opponent now has Netherworld Depth, so you're gonna be swinging just to get it blocked to then make your opponent draw a card. But if Otter doesn't have Ice Shield, the strat here, okay, well we're about to play something big, so I don't know. We are running Pendacles. I still don't know whether I like Pendacles or not. I don't know if I love them or not, but I don't know. I'm a fan. I like the fact that Pendacles exists. I didn't like him at first. Then Egg played him against me. I'm like, he's super annoying. Like, he basically just chooses anything and removes it. Only happens once, but I don't hate it. Would you consider adding 5 minutes of time because of lag? Sometimes it can really slow down the game. I could see that. After this, so basically this first week is a trial run. And then based on any issues we run into today, I'll modify. So if we feel like because we're playing on Tabletop Simulator and players are new, I don't mind adding an additional 5 minutes to the rounds just to accommodate that, right? So if that's feedback that a lot of you guys give, I have no issues with modifying that. At the end of the day, we are just trying to get better here. So, all right, that's it. That is time in the round. So this match will actually end in a draw, which is pretty incredible, especially since at first I wasn't even sure if Otter actually ended up taking the dub here. So huge shout out to both players. I mean, you guys want to see what purple versus purple looks like? It's that. And the game is very effectively decided on who can you like. If you get down multiple nexuses, you can just out advantage your opponents, and like that's it. That's like a huge blow. So all right, so we'll go ahead and flip to the full cam here. Go ahead and set up the next round. But that was super dope. Is there a deck I can build with it? So you can push towards a red deck for sure. Depending on how badly you want it, you could be playing like Nova. You could lean into just like red good stuff-ish and then use like fish and stuff like that. Or you could just use red aggro. Yeah, 100%. You can utilize cheap red cards. You can tie it in with some yellow aggro cards and then literally just make a deck that like leans sideways. And that could sometimes get there, right? You have some confront cards. So in general, you can put yourself in a position to be able to push out a game, right? So it won't do amazing, but it can definitely do some stuff. So we do see red here from TD. This card has been great for the early game. It's an early confront piece. You can play it on turn 1. On turn 2, it thinks for 5k confront, which is huge. It means your opponent's either forced to start swinging with things or just lose it outright early, which is incredible. So we do hear the Cavalier here for the draw. So we do have some red versus purple here. I'm not too sure if this is pure purple. I'd have to check the deck list. You're testing Flayfish still good in Nova builds, or has... I'm down to 2. I still like Took Fish. Otter pops off time and time again about how Jex is a bad card. I don't think Jex is a bad card, so I just ignore him. I think Otter kind of plays in this funnel that everyone plays the best deck, but not everyone in the room is going to play the best deck, and you just kind of need to account for people playing jank, so... So I think Jex is a great catch-all card. Jex? Oh yeah, so if you guys didn't know, the community name for Flamefish is Jex. So if you hear someone say, I'm going to play Jex, or like my deck has 4 Jexes in it, they're basically saying I have 4 Flamefish. It's just the community name for the card. Because I like the game a lot. Yo, talk about Jex. All right, we got Jex on board. This will not catch on. I don't know, dude. If I'm the only guy streaming gameplay for a full month before the game releases, you really think... My son. You really think it's not going to catch on? All right, so we got the aggro here getting down to 3 for purple, whereas red pushing in some very nice aggro here. Oddly enough, not having the soul core on the fish. I don't understand that one, but... The 6 booster box is enough for 2 players, with both players getting 2 XC starter deck. It should be. You might be short on an absolute an ice shield or 2, but generally between 2 players, if you guys aren't playing the same color, your 6 boxes split between 2 players should give you guys access to almost everything you need. Woo! So that's the thing, right? You never want to put yourself in a position to lose the crackback. So here, we only see, right now we only have 1 core in reserve, but you're against red, which means he can just Nova destroy you. So we'll see here, but this is a tough position. Right now you're putting yourself in a position where like you can go down technically to 1, which is very scary, so... So we do have 1 core to 3 cores in life. Purple can have removal options, but now red's got a lot to work with, right? So it's like, do you lose to the crackback now? So this isn't... Sometimes games do just go burr and like, yo, do you not have it? But this is the game state where an absolute ice shield can win the game. Unfortunately for TD, he's in a position who's at 1 life, which means he's always going to have 1 card defending on top of having an absolute ice shield, which is incredibly scary, right? Because purple has so much main phase removal that he can remove all the blockers, get the guaranteed first swing in. If TD doesn't have any removal, then he's stuck. But Arc obviously will help out here. Can attack with it, can remove a card from board and prevent things from attacking unless they go big. So this is not having removal. This is at least a decent card to have on board to kind of chill there and start mitigating the board. So And we will get the Flamefish, which means Flamefish stays up. We're going to be able to 2-for-1 our opponents. The beauty with Flamefish is that it's just whenever it's destroyed, it doesn't have to be in the attack phase or anything. So if it does get destroyed, then you'll be able to mitigate the blockers. So this is a good defensive position to kind of counteract the fact that he's down to 1 life. And he may not have removal in hand. 4 cards in hand is not a ton to play with. So we'll have to see here how much you'll have to be able to kind of deal with here. There is a potential where Ligeia here just ends up having the removal to be able to deal with all this. But at the moment, this is definitely the place you want to be. Of course, and this is where the core management aspect comes in, right? In the main phase, you can set up your cores to, well, neither of these can really get out of Flamefish's or Jex's depth, right? But there's a world in which you set up your board and then you go into killing the fish and then it can't hit anything and then you restructure your course from there. So we do see the Andromeda here. This card's incredible. I ran it as a 2 of at first. I went up to 3, now I'm at 4. This card's absolutely nuts. The ability to get rid of Nexuses, have a body. The Confront is nuts. For a 10k Confront is busted. Or you can just kill like a 3k body. Super good. Yeah, or purple can remove a core. That is absolutely correct. Yeah, there's that what you can do as well. So red could just win here, but we just pass, right? And that's the thing, right? You presume your opponent may have something, so instead let's not give them too many resources to do something with. But I don't know. I'm pretty partial to putting your opponent down to 1. I'm a big proponent of the notion of like you get them off Ice Shield being free. At 2 life, Ice Shield is always free. You can always burst it down and you'll stay at 2 life. At 1, it's not free and your opponent has to play around that. But I could also see not wanting to give the additional core to kind of like have a huge crackback depending on what you have. So like this board is pretty susceptible to Curse Dragon, which would suck. So they could be trying to avoid that, even though Curse can't be played in this situation, I think. And I think that might be what he's trying to avoid. So, okay. So here we do have 2 Dragonagas. Can draw a card when summoned, so we did utilize that for 1 of them by using the Soul Core here. So we drew 2. I'll have to see what comes up after that. Okay, and here we do see Algavale, Curse on level 2, and when destroyed, will be able to draw an additional card. So just mounting up blockers, right? But the problem with too many blockers, yeah, it depends. I think this is still a fine position because you can like block. I mean, assuming you block with everything or they get removed or whatever, Arc can kill something, so you need to be wary of that. But nevertheless, you're going to have 4 cores available. If you lose life, you're going to have 5. So after all blocks are said and done, you can still Absolute Ice Shield. So there's that. You can still remove. You can block, use some removal, do something. But this is a tight position for both players. Both are not really in a comfortable spot. And it's just about who overextends and can potentially be punished here. 2 more bodies, swing 2. Good. If your opponent has nothing. Oh, okay. We're going for the big bang, baby. So equal to your cost, your Star Dragons now cost that much, which means if you have the red reduction, they're basically free. So what's the play? What's the follow-up here? Big bang for value? Do we got the Nova? Sure, we got the Nova, baby. So we won't get the Ascend, so we won't heal because we did not use a Sigworm. Well, you never know. He could have 2 Novas in hand. He could have 2 Novas in hand and go for it. The Mad Lad, he could have it. Otherwise, though, what you do is he's just going to go for the board wipe, right? So that does look like we're going for that here. So this will create an opening, and then he will still have blockers in the back row in case this doesn't go through. But at 3 cores, we are now level 2, which means we'll be able to go for the on attack and clear the entire board. Hey, yo, let's go. And again, all your Star Dragons are cheap. So you pay 1, and then we're going to go use that, get rid of the Dragonaga. So now we have enough attackers. We got enough blockers. This swing is going to board wipe here. Going to be a guaranteed take 1, most likely than not. And yeah, that's it. So that is enough. We got the concession here. And wow, so big, very aggressive start, right? On both ends, getting each other to low life totals in the kind of situation, this kind of stally board. Who's got the out? Big bang into the Nova, being able to say, you know what, you're going to clear my board, not going to be doing anything, we're going to take game. And that's the thing, Nova is by far the most bombastic play you can play. Not only can you combo with Bang to make him incredibly cheap, he can just swing the entire tempo of the game. So already, TD was in a position where he was kind of already doing fine, right? I think he could have gone wide board regardless and probably still gotten there based on the hands, but nevertheless, those big bodies definitely made the difference. You did say 2 bodies, you definitely said 2 bodies. By the way, guys, have you guys, so in your own playtesting, have you guys been opting to go first? Have you guys been opting to go second? I feel like there are some decks that do value the additional core, to be honest. So I'm not sure. I feel like I still go on to play more often, but I could see a reason for someone to want to go second. Right, like if you open your hand and you see you have infinite mothership, maybe you just go second to guarantee that you get your mothership off on turn 1. Okay, so we're starting with an arc. Early arc is super good. I love this turn 1 play. Basically just says your opponent can't rush you down unless they do like, you know, specifically plays like these where they get a big body, but then it would trade. So going into our turn with 4 available cores and a arc on board. Arc preventing anything with 2k or fewer to reduce life. That's both sides. So it is affecting both players, but also when the spirit. So if your opponent's just like chilling on 2ks, you also get to remove them. So it's a great early play to be able to set up. The Confront's going to be incredibly gross here. Confront against Curse is so annoying because Curse is only when they attack. So if you can set up your Confront, which unfortunately we are just 1 core shy here, it would have been a super gross play to just like swing with it and threaten this to die because you'd be a 5k. But nevertheless, still mounting up a really annoying board. You're not incentivized to attack really as purple because you don't want to be you don't want to lose to a big bang, but you have to threaten because if you give them too much time, they'll find the combo. So it's a really tough spot to kind of put yourself in at the moment. All right, so we do got the swamp here. We've got a burst set down, and then I'll potentially be a pass. We've got 1 in reserve. I don't think there's no reason to not put it here, right? But nevertheless, yeah, Bear Arc is a super good early game setup. Like this is a disgusting board, right? Like you're gonna draw a card here, but you're just gonna lose this now if you decide to go in with the bear, and then you can start aggressing your opponent, and he doesn't really have much going on. He's gonna draw a card, but draw a card to still like start applying pressure is super solid. So now we've got both these guys on level 2, which does double duty, right? Against purple, it means it's so much harder for them to remove like a core and to deal with your card, and also puts them at high enough where, you know, they don't get traded for with this guy. So we do have the block here. It's going to die. We're going to get the card draw, and then are we going to go in with the arc, or are we just going to chill here? Does look like we are going to aggress some, get in with the arc. This will most likely be a take here, going down to 4 life. Yep. And then that'll be turn going over to our purple player here. Okay, so we got Netherworlds here. So if you're behind, this card's incredibly good. This card, okay, so here's the thing. If TD's got Nexus removal, this play is gonna feel incredibly bad because you basically just quote unquote like wasted your turn. What I say, Burning Forest, baby. If you're not running this card, you should. This card's incredibly good. So there you go. So it almost feels like a wasted turn at this point. Plus, it's 2 things, right? Like first, your opponent's board is set back to exactly where they were beforehand. And you force the block, so now they have 1 reduction again, which means things are more expensive. So this is incredible control of the board at the moment. Purple's got comeback cards, don't get me wrong, but this is definitely a tough position a little bit here. We are at Curse Dragon levels. I do believe we could play a Curse Dragon if we want to. We would get rid of 1 thing, and then it'd be too big for this to confront into, I believe. So there is that you can do. You can also swing if you just don't want to get confronted, and I think, you know, red going down to 4 life is kind of whatever. Okay, so we've got the Rotting Swamp here. So 2 swamps. And then I guess we'll play a body. And I mean, it's not terrible, right? We'll be drawing 2 cards a turn, assuming the Nexuses stick around. So you block if he does attack. You're going to draw 2 cards, maybe draw into some outs. But this is why the red matchup for purple is really tough, is because you have to commit so much to like getting these set up because it's how you get your advantage. If you didn't manage to get your early curse through, which early curse is tough to do with arc chilling, this is just not great. And unfortunately, not having the ability to put out a body after having done this is a little bit tough. But it is representing a ton of removal. So honestly, you really don't even have to commit to board here. You could actually just like go in with this. If you have Nexus removal, sick. But there is a world in which this is fine, right? You just load up your stuff with cores, make it hard for your opponent to have to remove things. I mean, like it could be like a double deadly balance, which then would be kind of gross, but I don't think you want to commit anything to board here. I think this play is perfectly justifiable. Even if you get double deadly balance, who cares? Nope, looks like that is going to be a take. No burst on AIS, but we do see the Dream Bomb here. It's a good tempo play. So see, we're running some white cards. Dream Bomb is super good in terms of like, I love sideboarding Dream Bomb. I think it's a super solid card for matchups in which you might have a little bit of trouble. And that's a pass. So there we go, right? If Jaya here can deal with the Horn Grizzly, PD is just kind of reset on board state at that point, which does give opportunity. We've got two Rotting Swamps, which means you could leave up blockers. So if you got a counterattack, you can draw into more cards. So right now, there is a world in which Jaya ends up being up on advantage, both in board state and in hand, depending on what they get here. Okay, and there we go. That's a good early body. So we do have the Boa Trickster. We got two Boa Tricksters. And the question is, do we attack with them? You just gotta be careful, right? If you attack with them, you potentially give your opponent the ability to go into... Sheesh, dude, he's playing the big one. It's kind of hilarious, dude. Okay, this is actually super sick, because he can put himself in a position where he forces TD to discard his, like, 5 cards from his hands, and he'll draw based off these. So would be up in cards after that, which is hilarious. So you can leave him up as a blocker or whatever, but on level 1, it's just a trade. It'll just be a 1-for-1 here, but there's a world in which if we get this to level 3, this would be funny to combo off with your Rotting Swamps to be up against your opponent. All right, looks like we're just loading up our Confronter. I mean, I get it, right? Like, you're better off getting rid of Pandemium early than late, because late he can threaten to ruin your entire game plan. So I could see a world in which that's kind of the idea here. Get rid of it early, then you won't have to deal with it afterwards. If you have removal, right? I mean, how big is he? He's a 5k, so nothing in red really hits it outside of that. Yeah. The Volcanic Break with the additional Soul Core will be enough to get it there. Nullifies its when destroyed ability. So I think this is a good choice. I mean, you will be able to draw 2 cards, but no, during your attack step, so never mind. So good mitigation here. Jaya stuck on 2 cards in hand. Doesn't have a ton to do. Won't be drawing a ton of cards here. Grizzly could just attack. And that would put him down to 1, assuming this is not an Absolute Ice Shield. All right, there's another arc. So, let's see, prevents the 2Ks, which means these are going to have to commit themselves to being level 2s or higher for them to be able to deal some damage. Okay, and we do see the swing here, so we are going to see if we can threaten lethal. We've got the take, and then we've got the burst. Yep, so there is the burst, Absolute Ice Shield burst. When you lose a life, you will gain that life back from your reserve. And then we will see the utilization here of the flash to be able to end the attack step, which means we'll be moving on to the next turn here. From the looks of it, we've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cores to play with. Not accounting for the 3 that is currently on our main board. We will play out a Cavalier to draw an additional card. And then we will get out the Alga Veil. We'll be able to draw an additional card here as well. We're going to burst. Presumably, this is probably another Ice Shield, so we will live to see another day. And sometimes a game just happens like that, where that is the deciding factor. At level 2, this is at 3k. Yeah, so everything here is above the threshold to be able to deal damage. So we do see the curse swing here from the first Boa Trickster. We've got a think from TD here. We got a little bit of a hand shuffle, and looks like we will just use the take. No burst trigger, so can continue the onslaught. Swing for a second curse here. We've got 5, 6 cores available to us. 4 if we don't want to kill our own spirits. Or self-destruct our own spirits, I should say. Alright. Here we see the Burning Force. Main phase. This card's so good. This card's so good, dude. How is this a common? Oh my god. Yep. So these, unfortunately, being out of range. Well, I mean, those that wasn't out of range, but not wanting to give the card draw here. The Big Bang plays, baby. That's gross. Good chances another IAS, so you don't necessarily win here, but this is so nasty. This card's so good, dude. Dude, Big Bang into Andromeda. Like, even if you don't go for the Nova play, Big Bang into like multiple Andromedas is absolutely nasty. I think that arguably is almost as gross as like just getting off a Nova IMO. So we do swing here. We're forcing the construct. So this forcing the block here is so incredibly good. You're bored? What board? Yeah. Forcing the block here is so good. It's so good. You can't even proc the IAS either because you had to block. So it's like forcing your reduction loss. It's forcing removal and then being like, okay, now I'm going to force you to have to burst your IAS. So the fact that you can get those two things off, absolutely nasty. Yep, so there's the IAS. So we're going to use that. We're going to live to see another day. Draw one more cards. We got 3 cards to work with here. So does he have an out? Curse Dragon. There's a world in which you can Curse Dragon. Or you could draw into an Ice Shield. So that is something you could do. So we did. Yeah, so we are on Infinite Absolute Ice Shield. That was 3. We did get 1 draw out of that. So we'll see if we were able to draw into something. Like now you're banking for what? Like a Basculus slash... Like you're banking on what? Basculus slash... Curse Dragon, right? Are we drawing into the 4th one? Okay, so the Rotting Swamp doesn't do anything. Because TD can just take the swing. It's no big deal. We are currently on game 2. TD took game 1. And is in a position to take game 2. But our good friend Jaya here has been on Infinite Absolute Ice Shields. So it's been a few turns. Yeah, you just take this, right? Like, you don't need to give him any additional draws. There's a world in which you could draw into another Absolute Ice Shield, I guess, but you probably want to burst it. So, maybe. Okay, so that's a pass. See what red does here. Yeah, there's no reason to do anything about that. You just take those. Pitch for the Volcanic. Note, guys, that for Volcanic Canyon, it's worded a little weirdly, but if you have multiple Volcanic Canyons, you draw all your additional cards and then you discard. So keep that in mind. Could just put 1 on the canyon for the yellow. No reason not. So swing. Will he get the pop? No, it's a 4K. Swing, get the draw, and did we draw into an out? Actually had all 4. Bro, what the heck? Actually, bro, this we're gamers out here, dude. We're gamers out here, dude. Bro, skill difference, bro. That's crazy. Bro, what the heck? All right, so we got the Beldegor. We're gonna be able to take out the Arc here. And funny enough, there's a world in which you swing with Beldegor, it gets blocked, right? So you swing with Beldegor, it gets blocked, it dies, you draw cards. Then you swing with this, it gets blocked, it dies, you can play Beldegor. So like if there's no Absolute Ice Shield here or like removal, this could actually be like some sick lineup to actually get 3 attacks through. And then if you have removal, maybe like I don't know what this last card is, but you're gonna be able to draw cards. Like this could actually be a pretty big swing turn here. This man winning 25k top decks like this? Yo, right? All right, no, it looks like it's just a pass. Ah, dude. Dude, I would have been so about the swing, dude. I would have just swung. Because I don't know what you find out now. Oh my god. Okay, here's the Big Bang. Oh my god, here's the no! All right, Sigworm into Nova. Yo, are we gamers? Are we gaming? All right. So we got the Sigworm. Into the Nova! All right, so on proc, Ascend. We'll spend the Soul Core to go into the Star Dragon Nova. And we shall gain all the way back to 5 life, baby. And we can move around a core to just make him clear your board. All right, so unfortunately, this is kind of why I'm also saying like you should like potentially just go for the swings here and hope you can get there. I did think your best shot you had was to kind of like swing in. You would have 3 swings, maybe between the blocks of these 2 swings, you find 2 removal cards to then be able to actually go for lethal. But yeah, it's a swing out for game here, and that will be that. Probably, assuming, but yeah, and that'll be that. So TD taking the game 2-0 here, but honestly, dude, the back-to-back ice shields, absolutely nutty. All right, so kicking it off here with the Rocket City, baby. So it does look like we're going to be playing against some white here. So yellow versus Blanco. Grapo, Angel. This card's so good. Just being able to get like a free mulligan with a body and a reduction, like, oh, dude, that's so good. All right, gentlemen. My dinner is kicking me in the butt real quick. So I'll be right back in just a second. Enjoy the match, behave. I'll be back in a couple minutes. Bro, on God, how are we still going? So here we basically end up having a back and forth between yellow and white, and where white is consistently trying to push in a lot of removal so that he can actually win this battle and hopefully get those magic cards back. Whereas alternatively, the big body on Odin plus having multiple suppressions from the white player here means that he's actually going to be able to live through this battle, which is absolutely huge. And, you know, I don't blame the yellow player here. This was definitely the timing that they needed to basically switch the tempo of this game and get enough position on board to push through. So, because the Odin's going to cause consistent trouble, especially since the yellow deck leans more low to the ground. So it's a very tough loss here to end up losing on this battle. So we'll just have to see how it breaks out from there. I used to really want to take out Odin, but I love it so much. Yeah, I don't know. I'm forcing any white deck I'm playing, I'm jamming Odin. I don't care. Like, the card just feels too good not to run. And like, maybe he's too respondable, but I don't care. Glassberry is super dope. Such a good turn 1 play. Shame it doesn't have like a... Shame it's a machine beast as opposed to like something else, but... Kinvara gave you the Dyna test print. I swear I can't stop staring at it. I love how the card generally... Oh, the card is super clean. Super clean looking. It's just a shame that the archetype doesn't really come together. All right, bro. We got the Fritzl, which means we're drawing cards. We've got the Pentan Chick. I don't know about running Pentan Chick. I don't know if that's a card, but... Just have to wait for those store exclusive promos. Obviously gonna have a mecha in it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like the mecha archetype feels like just something's not there, so it has to be in the TP promos. Yeah, Ice Shield's a good card. Go figure. Yeah, the games have been alright. We saw a game where purple refused to die because literally drew into infinite ice shields, so that dragged on for a bit, but eventually died. White's everywhere. White is literally everywhere. Yellow is putting up a good fight here. Not gonna lie. Had some really good early aggro. White like stabilized like some clutch suppressions. But now might still be on the back foot. I wouldn't say any big surprises. No, not really. I think everything's pretty standard to what we've been expecting. I'm gonna have to take a more thorough look at the meta when I do the meta breakdown for YouTube. But for now, everything looks generally, like I said, outside of just being a lot of white, like way more than I expected. It's been pretty okay. All right, so there's the purge. So we'll get rid of the bear, but not before preventing the ramp. Still 1 card in hand. I don't... If your card... Here's the thing. If Pentan already got blocked, I almost would have let him die, right? Because at least then you get your card draw from Fritzl. Right? Like, I would have used the purge to get through a block in main phase. I don't know if I would have used it to... Okay, it looks like we're just going to pass. So we got 2 blocks, we got 2 draws in hand, but we know this is Nice Shield, so that's fine. You're going to live to see another day. But you can prevent blocks, which means you're not going to draw cards. I don't know. It's kind of weird. All right, so we do pass along. Let's see if yellow draws into anything. Didn't force the... I don't know if I agree with not forcing the Ice Shield. Because that just gives yellow another turn to dig into something. And you have no cards in hand. Which means if he finds an answer for one of your blockers, you're dead. Oh, but you have... Oh, I see. But you had enough blockers. I don't... Huh. Never mind. Yeah, you literally had to keep it for this much. And then it's just pass. What a game. What the heck? All right, let's see what white drew into. He's playing something. All right, we got Enterprise, but this doesn't actually do anything. It's literally just a body. Like right now, we're literally just going body for body. That's crazy. That's actually nuts. Enterprise actually does nothing in this matchup. It is a dual blocker though. It is a dual blocker, which is you. Because it's a dual blocker, I would almost justify attacking in with Dern. Like you just need to start chipping in, right? Like, but then he draws cards, right? No, no, he can block once, which means he'll draw cards. You can't attack. Ugh. Or is it can't be blocked? Yeah, never mind. Yeah, so yeah, never mind. You swing with Dern. You get in a poke here. And then just hopefully you got sufficient blockers, right? Like, whoa, careful, son. You can't go for game here. Your dim Derna can't block. So that's fine. Are we good? But this doesn't force the absolute ice shield, but you just got to pass. You just got to pass now. Yeah, there you go. And now you potentially win next turn, right? Because you don't know if he drew into another one or not. But yeah, you did. Hopefully... Yellow doesn't see two attackers, right? For white here to make it through. Yellow, if you see two attackers, that's game. That's GG. Because right now, white can block 4 times. View the top 4 cards of your deck. Add 1 magic card to your hand. And then during your attack step, refresh the spirit. One of your spirits that costs 2 is destroyed via comparing BP. No! Alright, he found it. He found the out. Potentially? No, because the blocks are too big. Yo! Bad Haven. With the gifts, much appreciated. Huge insane shout out to our recruiting Espira Force member, Tarkara. Oh, you're chilling in the back, Tark. Glad to see you here. And Cursed Kakashi, welcome to the Espira Force. All right, so there's a world maybe where you can sequence this where this swings, and then you attack with your 2-drop, and then you'll get the refresh, right? But on 3 cores, it's a 5k. So you need to figure out how to deal with that Enterprise. And that should do it. You have enough attackers now. He can only block 3 times. You have 5 attacks. That is GG's, son. That is that. We're calling it there. So white's taking game 1 and moving on to game dos. All right, so this is where I actually start playing anime music, which is 100% going to get copyright striked on this video. So I'm just going to switch over to the voice over here for now. So on white side, we do have Pegazione, which is kind of chilling there. It's an incredible card in this matchup, specifically because it can multi-block for basically everything on yellow's board. So it by itself there threatens to be an incredibly good card if it can stick on board for multiple turns, which we just see here with the core impact. So yellow kind of pushed in a position where they just kind of need to go wide at this point. Peg horse, unless they go tall, can really basically block everything. And we're actually going to see soon that white puts themselves in an incredibly strong position to be able to defend themselves. And yellow's just kind of stuck doing this game of going wide. So we do see the Caladrius on board. We've got the Friedel, so at least if you swing, you get the draw. We've got the Penten on board that at least will make magics a little cheaper as we go on. So we do have the swing here from the Penten. And does look like that will be a take, but then we will be utilizing a Dream Bomb here to be able to bounce one of the other ones. So we'll go ahead and bounce the Friedel. It makes a lot of sense if you're trying to clear on board. It does allow you to avoid having to deal with your opponent drawing into a bunch of outs at the moment, which is kind of what white wants to do, right? White doesn't have card advantage, so what you need to do is slow down your opponent and then put yourself in a position where they're kind of going 1-for-1 on cards as opposed to just plussing on cards. So the Rocket City here will eventually then lend itself to that, where every time your opponent draws, they'll basically just be cycling instead. And obviously that's stacked. So if white here is able to find more Rocket Cities, they can put themselves in a position to be able to deal with this quite swiftly. Here, yellow continues to be able to go wide, doing what it does at the moment. No cathedrals does mean that the free throw is basically the only way to be able to kind of push the board state forward and do something. Your two drops here kind of don't do anything, especially with the peg horse out there. So you definitely need to utilize your ability to try to draw and cycle into more cards that do stuff to make it to really hopefully see more gas that's more impactful here. We do see the suppression now, which means that the horse will be able to infinite block and will consistently get bigger as it keeps on blocking as well. So basically, that'll end the turn here. Though we will take the L on the Pentan here, which should allow us to be able to draw a card. We are not on level 2 yet, so it's not a cycle. We will simply get the draw and move forward from there. Then this is the combo that is like incredibly strong. So the 1-2 punch of Odin plus Horse means that they're in a position right now where white can basically full control the opponent's board. They can consistently bounce the 2 drops they keep on playing, which up until now yellow has only really shown yellows be like short, low cost yellows being played. So it's a position right now where between the bounces of Odin, you're consistently losing tempo. Thankfully, you're not in a super expensive deck, so it's not costing you a ton to reestablish your board. But on attack and on block, you're going to consistently lose your 2 costs, which means you can't aggress to draw more cards. And then you got the horse on the back end that also guarantees basically infinite blocks. So it's this 1-2 punch where Odin's going to consistently clear your board, and then the horse is going to make sure that you have the back end to be able to defend yourself. So on that front, white has kind of like assembled the like the best early game you possibly could against this deck. The only issue here is if we look compared to both hand sizes, the yellow deck has 5 cards in hand, has 2 cards on board versus white's 4, right? And yellow has no issues eventually drawing into cards in hand, whereas white absolutely does. And unfortunately, the only thing that white's in a position of doing is preventing that card draw, which at the moment, nothing's really happening if yellow finds into more card draws simply because they've got the Rocket City chilling on board there. And now we do have the Michaela, which did have the dig, but found nothing, which is unfortunate. So here's to hoping that yellow actually has some magics in hand to be able to utilize with Michaela. But that's where this build is really interesting, in which it's a low to the ground luster deck. It's not full luster. It's also not full 2-drop, right? You utilize some of your value 2-drops to be able to draw additional cards. Additionally, you do use the Pentan to be able to lower your magics. So you do have the small low to the ground kit, but then you have a yellow top end. So a huge shout out to Symphonist here for putting together this build in which you are kind of utilizing the best of both worlds in yellow to kind of have this amazing Michaela top end that can play out some control games better than you would expect. Moving on to the turn here, we do have the card draw for turn, and let's see if yellow has a way to respond. And that's the thing, right? At the moment, we have a second Rocket City, but at the moment, this Rocket City is actually not doing anything. He's just making our blockers better, but our blockers are already good enough. So white still not in a position to do much. And this is where maybe would have considered putting some stuff on our Rockets, right? I know you want your cards to be big enough to be able to defend against your opponent's attacks, but this is just a position that's super tough. We do see another Michaela here, and unfortunately only 1 hit once again, but pressure is good. It does mean that if the opponent goes for something, for a draw, it'll be able to defend it. But we do have the blessed draw here, and I actually would have removed course from my cards to be able to draw additional 2. I think draw 4 as opposed to a draw 2 would have made a huge difference here in tempo. That said, yellow's board is mounting here, so we'll have to see if white drew themselves into any outs. This is where I would start considering hopefully finding things that allow it to dig more cards or start applying pressure. You do have your opponent on the back foot at 2, so you do need to start forcing them to utilize their ice shields just so that you can eventually kind of close out the game. But Odin swings will eventually get there. Here we do see that we're going to start using exhaust nexuses, and this is where this Michaela is really powerful on the top end. Where if you're on the low to the ground yellow deck, utilizing a Michaela top end does mean that you're going to be able to fight through some of these boards that would be basically impossible for the low cost aggro deck to get there. So this is an incredibly good way to kind of turn the tables on the game. Odin was removing a bunch of tempo from what you were doing before. So being able to get rid of that definitely means that you have more time to be able to start establishing a board. Peg Horse is incredibly good as a blocker, but does not in itself remove your opponent's tempo. It just kind of slows them down. But your opponent can still go wide and eventually get to a point where they can remove the horse. whereas Odin was actively applying pressure, closing out the game, and removing stuff off your opponent's board. So this is definitely a stronger position for yellow now in being able to apply pressure. The white player is now down to 1 life, and it's a great point now to start attacking, drawing cards, and going from there. So we do swing here. We do use the other Nexus Exhaust here, and that will be the swing for game. So putting up a good position here defensively on white, but unfortunately, just like we see the hand here too big, right? You see all the big finishers, and that's just where white's kind of hurting, where it just does not have the ability to be able to utilize, card advantage, card quality, because what you draw is what you're stuck with. And that's just unfortunately what happened here, and not being able to draw into a real out.